Hey guys, it's Big Boy JC here, and I've been challenged to do a video and explain to you guys about keto and intermittent fasting in layman's terms, which means I'm going to try not to use any big words and just explain it to you guys and give you the breakdown. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. I want to ask you a question. If you had two different ways to pick from to lose weight, and one was to cut your calories way back, eat less food, be hungry all day, exercise your ass off, but you'd lose weight, or eat a lot of food, feel full, don't exercise, and turn your body into a fat burning machine, which one would you pick? Okay, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. Most of you would probably pick number two. You want to eat a lot of food, you want to feel full, and you want to turn your body into a fat burning machine. So that's why we're going to talk about keto, and we're going to talk about intermittent fasting today. I've been posting my weight loss journey on YouTube, other various forms of social media, and I've been getting asked the same question: how are you doing it without exercise? Okay, and you guys know I'm a big advocate of learning how to control your eating and learning how to burn fat before you incorporate exercise, so you don't get dependent on cutting your calories and tons of exercise, because nobody can sustain that way of life forever. Some people can. If you're an athlete, you might be able to, but most people in the general public is what I'm talking about. Most people that are sedentary people that are not professional athletes, they would have a hard time exercising day in and day out for the rest of their life and cutting those calories way back. So the other option, learn how to control your eating, learn how to control your weight through your meal plans and through your diet, and then you could add exercise. If you ever can't exercise, you go right back to your diet and you can't control it. It doesn't come back, okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to turn your body into a fat burning machine through keto and through intermittent fasting in layman's terms. I'm going to try to break it down to you without saying a lot of fancy words, and maybe showing you how it works, giving you enough information so you can decide on whether or not that's the way you want to go on your fat loss journey. Okay? On a regular diet, you use sugar that turns into glucose from the carbs you eat for energy. Okay, so on that regular diet, you have to cut your calories way back to create a deficit, and to burn more fat, you got to do exercise to burn more calories to create a greater deficit to keep burning the weight. Now you got to do this day in and day out. Okay, so when you eat, you're giving your body carbs. That's the fuel that it burns in a traditional type of diet or the everyday way. Okay, so now how do we get our body to become a fat burning machine without exercise and without cutting our calories way back? We force it to burn the fat that we have stored on our bodies for fuel. How do we get it to do that? We don't eat any carbs. We cut our carbs way below 50 grams of carbs a day, which forces your body to look for fuel some other place. So your body's going to find it in the fat that we have stored. So we want to convert our diet from a carb source to a fat source for fuel. So we're going to cut those carbs way back. We're going to increase our fats. We're going to do a moderate amount of protein, and we're going to force our body to burn fat for fuel by doing this. Okay, so in a ketogenic diet, when you give your body more fats and less carbs, what it does is it takes those fats and it turns those fats into ketones, and it burns those ketones for energy, which another word for ketones is fat. We'll just call it fat, because that's what we're going to do, is we're going to train our body to burn the fat that we have stored for energy. Okay, so if you train your body to do that, now you can see why you don't need as much exercise and you don't need to cut your calories way back anymore to create a deficit, because you're going to train your body to burn the fat that you have stored. Okay, so now you don't want to eat too much fat in a regular ketogenic diet that people have heard of. They heard that you eat real high fats, which is true for a person that's morbidly obese, 500, 600 pounds, they're going to eat a ton of fat and cut those carbs out, and it's going to cause them to drastically lose weight. But eventually they're going to have to watch those fats that they eat, because let me throw it to you this way and see if you can grasp this. If you're giving it too much fats and your body is burning fats for fuel, it's going to go to the fats that you're giving it for fuel instead of going to the fat that you have stored on your body for fuel. So what we want to do is we're going to create a deficit that way. We're going to start cutting the fats down. We're going to keep the carbs way low, and we're going to force our body to go to our fat stores faster to burn the fat that we have stored in our body for fuel. Okay? How do we do that? We watch what we eat, we cut the carbs way down, and we increase the protein a little bit and drop the fat grams down just a little bit the longer we are in a ketogenic state. Okay? So with that being said, now another tool that I use is intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting means you go a longer period of time in between meals. Typically when people first start out, they'll start out eating, like let's say they do their last meal at 9 o'clock at night, and then they go 16 hours until they eat again. They usually start by skipping breakfast. If you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, people that usually start intermittent fasting will start by skipping breakfast and then wait until lunch, and then they'll get the rest of their calories in between lunch and dinner, and then after dinner they'll stop eating until they eat lunch again the next day. That's the typical intermittent fasting way. To take that even a step further, you start cutting that window back. So let's say your lunch is at 12. You're going to do that for a couple of weeks, and then you're going to move your first meal of the day back to 1 o'clock. So you're going to eat from 1, let's say, till 8 o'clock, which is going to shut your window down to 7 hours. You got 7 hours in that window to eat. So now instead of 16 hours, you're going 17 hours without any food. So you got an extra hour in there that you're going to force your body to burn the fat that you have stored if you're on a keto diet. Okay, so keep following me here. So you're going to do that for a couple of more weeks. In a couple more weeks, you're going to move your first meal up to 2 o'clock. So you're going to shave another hour off. So now instead of 7 hours eating window, you're down to a 6-hour eating window from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night. You got those 6 hours to get your allotted calories for the day in on the keto diet. So now you're going to eat those calories, break them down to however you see fit. You just have that window. You got to get your calories in and stop eating at the end of your window, and you got to wait till your window opens up again the next day. So now you're down to 6 hours. You do that for a couple of weeks. After your body gets acclimated to that, you're going to push that window back to 3 o'clock. So now you're from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, you got a 5-hour eating window. So you're going to break your meals into those 5 hours, get your calories, your nutrients in that you need, and you're going to eat for 5 hours, and then your body is going to be fasting the whole rest of the time. So the next week, couple of weeks, you're going to follow that pattern, and then when your body gets acclimated to that, you're going to push your first meal back to 4 o'clock. Okay, so now you're going to eat between 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. You got a 4-hour eating window. You're going to keep on doing that until you're comfortable with the way it is, you like the way it is. Me, I went all the way to a 1-hour eating window. So I have 23 hours throughout the day that I don't eat any foods. I don't spike my insulin during that time. And my body is in a fat burning mode for those 20 plus hours. Okay, so that's how I'm burning my fat. That's how I'm losing my weight without exercise, is I've created a fat burning machine by forcing my body to go to its fat stores for energy instead of using glucose from carbohydrates and sugars. Okay, the other thing is that when you go on a ketogenic diet, the amount of food you get to eat, if you take just a pure volume of food and you measure it against a traditional diet with higher carbs, you're going to have a bigger amount of food. If you look at a typical plate of food on a typical diet, your plate of food is going to be this big. If you look at a plate of food on a ketogenic diet, it's going to be this big. So I would rather have this amount of food to eat than this amount of food to eat, because I'm an eater. I like to eat, so I would like to eat more amount of food. Me taking that one step further is going to the OMAD diet. Now, instead of breaking my calories down into 3 or 4 small meals in a 4 or 5 hour eating window, I have 1 hour to eat. So I have 1 hour to eat my 2,800 calories. I get all those calories together. I put all that food together. It's a big pile of food. Sometimes I can't finish it. Sometimes I go and I don't finish it. I make sure I get my vegetables in. I make sure I get my proteins in and my fats in that amount of time. Sometimes I can't get it all in. What does that do? That creates a higher deficit because I went below my calories I needed to lose 2 pounds a week, which is 2,800. If I eat 2,500 in that 1 hour, then I'm 300 below where I need to be to lose 2 pounds of weight, which increases my weight loss even further. Now the next question is, how do you go 23 hours without eating? Okay, we did another video on that, and it's how to set your hunger pains. You are the one that sets the time of days that your body gets hungry by your eating patterns, okay? So me now, I don't start getting hungry till about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, because my body knows that at 9:30, I'm gonna get to eat. So with that being said, my body starts getting hungry, or I start feeling hungry, between 8 and 9 o'clock, and I know at 9:30 I'm gonna get to eat. When 9:30 comes around, I get to eat. I try to eat all my 2,800 calories. Some days I get it in, and some days I don't. It depends on the amount of fats and proteins I eat versus the carbohydrates. On a typical day, I'll eat 1.5 pounds of ground turkey. And I try to do this 5 days a week. I eat 1.5 pounds of ground turkey with 5 cups of broccoli. So I get a big old plate of broccoli and a big old side of ground turkey. I put butter on it. I put some Parmesan cheese on it. And that's pretty much all I eat for 5 days. And that comes out to about 2,500, 2,600 calories, I think, like that. The pound and a half of turkey is about 1,700 calories, almost 200. And then the broccoli with the butter and other stuff I put on it is usually keeps me below my 2,800 anyway. So as I go on and I lose more weight, I'll adjust my calories down. I'll drop them below 2,800. Probably the next time I'll be at 2,400. And I'll keep continuing until I get to my weight loss goal, at 250 pounds. At 250 pounds, I'll figure out how many calories I need to maintain that weight, and I'll probably break that down, and I'll eat that in my 1 meal a day, and I'll be good to go, and I'll eat that every day, day in, day out, and my weight's not going to fluctuate, and I'm not going to bounce back and become heavy again, because I've already trained myself to eat that 1 meal a day and burn fat for energy. Which is the whole purpose of doing keto with the intermittent fasting. So I hope that answers your questions there. You can do a traditional diet, which you cut your calories way back and create a higher deficit by adding exercise to that to force your body to burn calories and to lose fat. Or you can turn your body into a fat burning machine by cutting your carbs way back and forcing it to go to your fat stores for energy, causing you to lose weight that way. So I hope that I explained it good enough. Please hit me up in the comments below. Let me know if I did a good enough job explaining it. If I missed something, hit me up with a question. I'll be sure to answer it for you. That's the best way I know how to explain it. Make it easier for you guys to explain. If you have any questions, like I said, hit me up in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And I love to answer questions. So check it out. Do some more research. There's tons of videos on YouTube, not just mine. There's tons of other people on there talking about it. There's doctors on there talking about it. They get more in depth on how keto works and how intermittent fasting works. But if you like to eat and you have a lot of weight to lose, try it. You'll like it. Try it. See how it works for you. And get back to me and let me know how you like it. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Stay strong.